Would you believe that an increase in the demand for records could lead to an increase in the supply of hamburgers and a decrease in the supply of football helmets? It could happen. Watch. The Canadian Foundation for Economic Education and the Joint Council on Economic Education present Trade-Offs.
This is incredible. Look at this, SR. Look, sales have never been better. They're absolutely wonderful. Look.
Not now. You're right, SR. Those figures are boring. But this chart is a dynamite illustration of your fantastic success. Don't worry about those printouts. What does a computer know that you don't?
Don't bother me with those charts. I'm not satisfied.
But SR, you're one of the greatest music moguls who ever lived. What more could you want?
I need a new challenge.
But SR, you're already a world-renowned impresario.
And a wonderful, wonderful person. We weren't forgetting that.
No, we certainly weren't.
I know I'm all those wonderful things you say, but above all, I'm a star maker. I can't be happy unless I'm turning someone to a star. Molding raw talent into superstars. That's what I'm best at. Creating exciting new music for the world to enjoy. And to thank me for. Why are we stopping?
Where are we stopping, Gridley?
Gridley, why are we stopping?
We have a flat tire, SR.
It's a flat tire, SR.
Yes, SR, it's a flat tire.
Fix it, Gridley.
Fix it, Gridley.
Gridley, fix it.
Yes, SR.
Open that window. It's getting stuffy in here.
Open the window, you got it, SR.
Anything you say, SR.
Wait, listen. Why, it's magnificent.
It definitely is magnificent.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, hush up. Open the door. I'm going to find that sound.
You follow me.
That's what you think.
Who are you? Anna Sardega.
She's at Sardega.
I'm a music tycoon.
She's a music tycoon.
Who are you?
I'm Arnie Oates.
Arnie Oates. Arnie Oates.
Arnie Oates?
I like it.
I really like it. I love it.
Arnie, I'm going to make you a star.
Me? A star?
Just watch me.
And now, it's my honor to introduce to you and to the world, making his first stage appearance, the amazing Arnie Oates.
I love you. I love your body.
Arnie, I made you a star.
You made him a star, Asar.
Another star.
You sure did. Asar was right. It did happen. I played for a lot of people, and they liked what I played. This isn't really going to be a story about me, though. It's about my fans, how they could have changed things in ways few of us could even guess. For instance, when my fans started buying more records, it could have caused an increase in the supply of hamburger and an increase in the price of raincoats. How could that happen? Because hamburgers, raincoats, and my records all have prices. And in a market system, all prices are related to each other in some way. Here's what could have happened. Since people were buying and listening to more of my records, they had less time and money to go to the movies.
When movie attendance dropped off, our popcorn sales fell too, so we had to cut our orders from our suppliers.
Which is another way of saying, before attendance at the movies fell off, the demand for popcorn was here, the supply was here, the market clearing price was here, and people were buying and selling this much popcorn. When the demand for popcorn decreased, the market clearing price went down, and less popcorn was produced and consumed.
I started planting less popcorn when the demand for it went down. People weren't buying as much, so what I did is I made a trade-off. I switched some acreage from popcorn to regular corn. Then I planted more regular corn where I used to plant my popcorn.
Which is another way of saying, before farmers switched their crops, the demand for regular corn was here, the supply was here, the market clearing price was here, and people were buying and selling this much regular corn. When farmers switched their crops and started planting more regular corn, the supply increased. The market clearing price went down, and more regular corn was produced and consumed.
When all the corn hit the market, the price started going down, so it began costing me less to fatten up my herds. Most of my cattle feed on corn anyway, see, so I could raise bigger herds too.
Which is another way of saying, before farmers increased the supply of regular corn and lowered the cost of cattle feed, the demand for cattle was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here, and people were buying and selling this many cattle. When the cost of cattle feed went down, ranchers increased the supply of cattle. The market clearing price went down, and more cattle were produced and consumed.
How much hamburger we make depends on beef prices. If the price of cattle is high, our costs are high and we don't supply as much hamburger. But when there's a lot of beef on the market, our costs are lower and we supply more hamburger.
And that's how Arnie's fans buying more records could have caused an increase in the supply of hamburger. It could have happened because of a price system. But remember, at the same time the supply of hamburger was going up, there could have been an increase in the price of raincoats, too. How could that happen? Well, remember, the increased demand for Arnie's records caused a big increase in record sales. Which is another way of saying, before the Arnie Oates craze, the demand for records was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here, and people were buying and selling this many records. When the demand for records increased, the market clearing price went up, and more records were produced and used. But what if some of the same raw materials that go into making records, like chemicals, also go into making waterproof raincoats?
sure I'll make a chemical you could use for both. Let me tell you, back when the demand for records was shooting up, the record companies were falling over backwards to buy this chemical. Even after I raised my prices, they kept coming back for more. Some of my other customers had trouble with the higher prices, so naturally I started shipping more chemicals to the record manufacturers.
Well, when chemical prices went up, this increased our cost of making raincoats. We had no choice. We had to raise our raincoat prices. Unfortunately, our sales fell off at the higher prices.
Which is another way of saying, before the price of chemicals went up, the demand for raincoats was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here. And people were buying and selling this many raincoats. When chemical prices increased, the cost of making raincoats went up and the supply of raincoats decreased. The market clearing price went up and less raincoats were produced and used. And that's how people buying more of Arnie's records could have caused an increase in the price of raincoats as well as an increase in the supply of hamburger. It could have happened because of a price system. That's not all that could have happened, though. Arnie's trumpet playing brought out a lot of musical talent in other people. Every day, new bands were springing up in basements and rec rooms everywhere, and millions of people were buying trumpets. But can you believe that could have caused an increase in the supply of motorcycles and an increase in the price of football helmets? I mean, how could that happen? Well, for one thing, since Arnie's fans were buying and playing more trumpets, they probably had less time for riding their bikes.
My new bike business slowed down a bit, but it was tire sales that really fell off. Bike riders weren't wearing out their tires as fast as they were before the Arnie Oates thing. I had to cut back on my orders from the tire companies. Plus, I had to mark down my inventory just to sell the tires I already had in stock.
Which is another way of saying, before people began riding their bikes less, the demand for bicycle tires was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here. And people were buying and selling this many bicycle tires. When the demand for bicycle tires decreased, the market clearing price went down, and fewer bicycle tires were produced and used.
When orders for bicycle tires fell off, I had to shift employees and materials out of bike tire production into production of motorcycle tires. I made a trade-off. We cut production some on bike tires to produce more motorcycle tires.
Hey!
Which is another way of saying, before tire manufacturers switched production from bike tires to motorcycle tires, the demand for motorcycle tires was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here. And people were buying and selling this many motorcycle tires. When the supply of motorcycle tires increased, the market clearing price went down, and more motorcycle tires were produced and used.
Every cycle that comes off our assembly line back at the plant has 2 tires, and they account for a significant amount of our cost. So when tire prices fell, it cost us less to produce our motorcycles. So we produced more and sold them to our dealers for less.
Which is another way of saying, before the cost of producing motorcycles went down, the demand for motorcycles was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here, and people were buying and selling this many motorcycles. When the cost of tires fell, it became cheaper to produce motorcycles and the supply increased. The market clearing price went down, and more motorcycles were produced and used. And that's how people buying more trumpets could have caused an increase in the supply of motorcycles. But remember, at the same time, there could have been an increase in the price of football helmets. How could that happen? Well, with more motorcycles being produced and sold, more people needed helmets, which means that the motorcycle helmet business started to boom. Which is another way of saying, before motorcycle sales increased, the demand for motorcycle helmets was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here. And people were buying and selling this many motorcycle helmets. When the demand for motorcycle helmets increased, the market clearing price went up, and more motorcycle helmets were produced and used.
Pretty soon, all the sporting goods stores started coming back to my company for more and more motorcycle helmets. Even when I raised the prices, the orders just kept pouring in. So I had to start making less football helmets and more motorcycle helmets.
Which is another way of saying, before the cutback in the supply of football helmets, the demand for football helmets was here. The supply was here. The market clearing price was here. And people were buying and selling this many football helmets. When the supply of football helmets decreased, the market clearing price went up, and fewer football helmets were produced and used. And that's how buying more trumpets could have caused an increase in the price of football helmets, as well as an increase in the supply of motorcycles. It could have happened because of a price system. The price system is all around us. We can't see it, but it works like an invisible hand to make often unexpected things happen. That's because when millions of individual decisions are taken together and fed into a price system, they set off chains of events that sometimes lead to surprising results.
It happens all the time. Who would have thought when millions of kids started buying skateboards, it could have caused an increase in the price of underwear? How could that happen?
The content of trade-offs was developed entirely with funds from a consortium of 46 state and provincial education agencies. Other funds for trade-offs were provided by these foundations and corporations. This program was produced by EFC, Educational Film Center, Northern Virginia Educational Telecommunications Association. Animated segments produced by Goldschall and Associates. Under the supervision of AIT, the Agency for Instructional Television.